Hey, it is time to do a little walkthrough of Siege of Boralus. Alright, so first pack, the big things is the Enforcers. Scrimshot Enforcers, they're going to cast Frontal that you need to avoid. It should just be targeted on the tank. And then they'll do a Shout. He's going to do it here in just a second. The Shattering Bellow just does heavy damage, and if you're casting during it, it will interrupt you. So just make sure you're not casting any healing spells. You can cast instant cast and stuff like that, obviously. Just don't be in the middle of a cast. And then you're all good. And then you'll take a heavy amount of damage. So those are definitely, the bellows are what you're going to want to use defensives for. And these bombers just throw fire bombs at random players, and it just does a moderate amount of damage to those players. So if you're targeted by a firebomb, like while a shout is going off, then you're going to want to watch out for that. Next pack, we don't have too many new things. There's Raiders, so we have another Enforcer, so Frontals and the Roars. We have this Raider who's going to pull us in, uses Iron Hook, and it pulls us in like that. And it will overlap, like right there. You can see I just completely messed that up. We got pulled in, and then the shout happened at the same time, or the bellow. And it pretty much, I mean, if this was a 12, we would have all just died there, because I was casting when I should have been using something like Spirit Link or Healing Tide. I want to use something immediate that will immediately heal the whole entire group and get everybody kind of topped up before the shout happens. So here, like, I drop Healing Tide, and then now a Shattering Bellow's happening, so we're all full HP, so we should be good. And the other thing the Raider does is just after pulling you in, he will do like a little AoE sweep around himself. So you just make sure you move away from him after getting pulled in. The nasty combos is basically just the packs with Raiders in them is always going to be really nasty if there's other things in the pack as well. So just anytime there's a Raider, that's honestly really dangerous. And then also same thing with the Enforcers, since they're pretty similar. Alright, here we will talk about the Wave Shapers. So they're going to spam cast Brackish Bolt, which just needs to be interrupted. It's just randomly targeted on different players. If the cast goes off, it does a heavy amount of damage to that player. And then they also cast, I think it's called the Water Tide Shell. And that will put, if that does not get interrupted, it will put a Absorb Shield on one random mob. That is purgeable, so if you have a purge, you really want to purge it. Or just interrupt the cast to begin with. And then if you don't purge it, when you break the shield off of the mob that has it, it will stun everyone within like a certain radius. So if you're a healer, try to stay far away if you notice that it's not going to get purged. But Blood Elves can purge it, Shamans, Mages, Priests, all that kind of stuff. And here we have Bombers, so the Firebomb, when that targets us, we're just going to take a moderate amount of damage, and then the Raider's going to pull us in. So what we really want to be careful of is the pull-in plus the Firebomb going off on random people. So like there, I use my Cap Totem as the pull-in is about to happen. That way, when we get pulled in, no one's going to get a Firebomb on them, because the Bomber's going to be stunned the entire time. Here, I don't need to press a defensive. I got targeted by the firebomb, but there's nothing else happening at the same time, so I have plenty of time. This is where it's like, okay, now we're getting hooked in. If there's a bomb going off at the same time, I want to make sure that the person targeted is full HP as soon as possible. Here's more of the same mobs. The gutters will not really do anything. They just hit the tank for a moderate amount of damage, or I guess a low amount of damage. Now we have dangerous... we have two dangerous things. So we have fire bombs going off with the Raider pull-ins, but we also have this Wave Shaper spamming Brackish Bolt. So if he's casting a Brackish, we basically want to make sure that he's interrupted when the Raider pulls in. So like here again, I can stun them, and then the Raider will pull in. There I did a little bit too soon. Like there, the warrior literally got hit by a firebomb at the exact same time that the pull-in happened, so that's really bad timing. I just mistimed my stun there. Yeah, you're basically looking for overlaps with the Raiders and overlaps with the Enforcers, which there's only like a couple Enforcers. There's a lot more Raiders. Like this pack has another Raider, so now we're just watching out for that pull-in. There it is. I'm going to drop a Healing Stream Totem. We get out, make sure everyone's healthy as soon as possible. You want to default to using instant cast healing if you can after getting pulled in, rather than, oh, we got pulled in and are taking damage, now we're going to, you know, try to cast a chain heal or something like that, because you're going to... someone's going to get targeted by something and just die before you have time to actually heal them up. So that's where you ideally want to use healing cooldowns. And even here, I can just drop like Healing Tide. It doesn't really matter because everything's dead, but that's just an example. Think of the pull-ins as where you want to be setting healing cooldowns for. Don't hesitate with them either. Just send them, and you will not regret it. Same thing with defensives, all that kind of stuff. Like, use a defensive when the pull-in is about to happen, or right after it happens, so that you can watch your HP if you're getting targeted by other stuff. Big thing for the first boss is he's going to fixate a random player, and the player needs to run away. He has very long arms, so if you get even remotely close to him, he will hit you and pretty much one-shot you. And there's going to be these bombs that spawn. You can see different types of circles. Like here, there's a filled-in circle, and then sometimes there's empty circles. There's usually a couple of those. The empty circles are where the bombs are going to spawn. So you want to keep an eye out for where those empty circles are, and then bring the boss, if you're the one fixated, you want to bring the boss to those empty circles. Like here, I'm fixated, so I position myself right behind the bomb. He walks through it, and then he's stunned, and then we hit him. He's fixating players, like say you're a DPS, you want to be killing ads, but when he's like this, disoriented after hitting a bomb, you want to focus him. And now he hooks us in, so I'm going to walk towards this next bomb in case I get fixated, which I do. Because, like, for instance, if I were to walk on the other side of him, I would be stuck. Like, he'd be fixating me, and I wouldn't be able to get him to walk over here towards this bomb. And that would be really bad. So, the way you know that he's going to pull you in is either when the fixate ends, if you didn't successfully pull him into a bomb, or when his disorient ends. So right here, he hooks us all in, and now I just want to walk out and find another bomb. Which here, there are none, so I'm the one fixated. I'm glad this happened. So my goal is to just kind of walk him towards one of the edges of the room, and then we'll see the bombs spawn. So there they're spawning. There's going to be one right here because this is an empty circle, and we just walk them on top of that. That's usually the best option, is to, if you get fixated when there's no bombs available, just walk somewhere towards the edge of the room. That way you have more room to kind of curve him back around towards the middle of the room and grab a bomb that's close.
Please, ensure Lady Proud more safely. I'll remove the rest of this filth from the docks.
And kind of similar thing with the, while we're killing stuff that's all the same, is during that boss, every time you're going to get pulled in, think of it like the Raiders. That's when you want to press defensive cooldowns and healing cooldowns and stuff like that, because there's overlaps that can happen with some of the ads where, like, the ads will hit somebody with random unavoidable damage, and then the boss will pull in at the same time, and then that person dies. So just think of the pull-ins as where you can kind of throw healing cooldowns and use defensives and stuff like that each time, especially while ads are alive. That's a big one. And here, the new mob that we're seeing is going to be the Commander. The Commander has a lot of HP, has an interruptible cast that we want to interrupt. I think it's going to be here in a second. It's this shield icon. It just will buff all the mobs if you do not interrupt it. And then the other thing that he does is this charge. I think it's called Azerite Charge. He does that. He picks a random player and will charge them, and they just take a heavy amount of damage and also get a dot. So you take an initial tick of damage, and then on top of that you get a dot that lasts a decent amount of time and hits really hard. So you just want to make sure that that player is full HP, and again, being full health, like remaining full health, like healing them through the dot. And here we have a Raider with the Wave Shaper again. Just watching those brackish bolts and the pull-in. And then here, there's going to be these mobs that shoot down this hallway, and if you walk up to it, they will just kill you instantly. You have to walk through the hallway when they're not shooting. So my general advice is just let the tank deal with it, because the tank will be the first person to run all the way through most of the time. So what I would do is just stand far back. Don't even bother, like, a lot of people will run up here to the first little safe zone because there's like little safe spots to stand in. Don't even do that. Just stand all the way back here, like see where the mage is. Just stand back here until you know that they cleared it. Once they reach the mobs, that's when you can walk up. So now we can go ahead and walk up. And then the only new mob here is this spotter. The spotters will just target a random player with this bombardment. Hopefully he targets me next. Nope. And you'll get these circles under your feet, and you just want to, you'll get a total of 4 of them, and you just move with each of them to get out of the way. And here we accidentally pulled this pack because after he's low HP, he likes to run away. I should have probably slowed him or done something to help. I guess we can talk about the powder shot in this pack. The powder shots, they die really fast, but they do a heavy amount of damage. They just target random players and do like a shoot, and it will just do a large amount of damage, or I guess a moderate amount of damage. So that's something you're going to want to watch out for, because that is unavoidable. You can stun them and stuff, but you can't interrupt the cast or stop it in any way, besides like a hard CC. Here we have the commander overlapping with some stuff. So like there, the warrior gets charged. You can see how much health or how much damage he took, and now I'm just spamming healing surges into him to keep him topped up. Now we have the commander doing another charge on me, so I'm going to press the defensive, and then right as he hits me, I heal myself, and then I continue healing myself to keep myself topped up. We interrupt the bolstering shout. There's another cleave, and also this circle that's around the player, if anyone is standing in it, they will also get hit by the charge, which means they also get the dot. So it is very, very deadly if multiple people get hit by it. So you do want to be careful about where you're moving it, or the general idea is like the person who gets targeted just either stand still or get really far out. Pick one or the other. Don't go somewhere in the middle, because that's where you usually walk it on people. So here's the sighted artillery from the spotters. And I'm just moving each time they drop. There is a little trick you can do to not have to move as much. I'll kind of show you during the boss if I don't get targeted again. Okay, so here, I'm going to let 2 stack up. So there are 2 stacked up, and now I move, and then I wait for 2 more to stack up, and then I just walk back to where I was. You take up way less space by moving, you know, a lot less. So here I'm getting targeted again. I wait. There's a second one. Now I move, and then now I wait. Once this first one goes away, I can move back. That just allows you to not have to run around constantly, especially if you're trying to DPS or heal and stuff. Like, a lot of people will do this where they're moving just constantly. It's really not a big deal. It's not the end of the world, but it's just a way that you can kind of like min-max it essentially. The boss is going to get bolt here. It's a rough start. So this boss, there's a couple important things. So there's a frontal, very clearly visible now, which they changed, which is good. Big thing for healers is this fiery ricochet. Every time she casts it, she's going to put this really, really heavy hitting dot on 4 players in the group. And you want to use healing cooldowns pretty much for that every single time. You know, be aware that you need to have everyone nice and topped up. So here I let it stack up twice. Now I move. Let it stack up twice. Now I move. And then there is the fire ricochet again. She also hit me with a gut shot. Those aren't supposed to happen during this fight, as long as you keep a slowing effect on the boss at all times. What gut shot is when there's no one in melee range of the boss, she will gut shot random players, and it's just an insanely heavy hitting bleed, I believe, or just a dot on someone. Looks like I didn't take any B-res players besides the Paladin, so that's really unfortunate. Let's do the rest of this fight with 4 people. Here during the intermission, you're just avoiding the waves of swirlies that spawn on the floor, and then killing the ads. Once the cannoneer dies, you pick up the little item he drops, and then you can shoot the cannon at the boss, and it brings her back down. So here's Fire Ricochet. We know the 4 players that are going to hit, since there's only 4 of us. So we're just using Earthen Wall and a healing string totem. We're gonna get another fire ricochet here during the move. These ones kind of suck because you have a harder time healing, so we're gonna drop the healing tide for this one. And there's another gut shot on the mage, so that's gonna kill them. That's just because I think the tank is stepping away too much from the boss, so because he's dodging stuff, but it's leaving her to where she will cast gut shot on someone. Now she just did gut shot again because we're moving away from her, and she did it on me, so I'm gonna health pot. And fire ricochet is going off. I'm gonna press a defensive. We're just gonna heal through it.
5, 4, 3.
There's the bombardment. The deckhands don't really do anything. They just hit the tank for a light amount of damage and apply a bleed. And then the cannoneer is what you actually want to kill. He'll do like a big frontal towards the tank. So you just watch where that's facing. And we dodge these little swirlies on the floor. The swirlies do spawn in a pattern of 3, but sometimes they'll go off in different times. So like the first one that spawns does not mean it's going to be the first one that goes off. It does most of the time, but I've definitely seen sometimes where it does not. So just be mindful of that. Just make sure you're not standing near any swirlies as they appear. So like here I move out of these ones, and now I move out of these ones immediately. And there we go. Just keep finding a safe spot until they're done spawning.
3, 2, 1.
We're gonna have another fire ricochet. I'm gonna reapply Earth Shield. Drop Earthen Wall. And we're just healing through it.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Helping deal damage because we have people dead. We wait for 2 to spawn. Now we move. To give you a better visual, like there's 2, and then now I move. Just move once the second one spawns under your feet.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Do the same thing in melee too. You can just stand there and then dodge after 2 and then come back to where you were. That way you don't have to like completely cover the boss in the AoE and then not be able to be in melee. Like here you'll see people just run away from the boss because they can't stay there because they just covered every area of the boss with the debuff. And there we just got 2 gut shots. I should have immediately Spirit Linked that instead of hesitating until I saw the debuff. I think I was too busy talking, so I didn't see her casting it. I just saw the debuff go on the warrior and then pressed it. That's okay, she dies here. Could still maybe be doable. That's okay, we're just learning the dungeon, so we don't necessarily have to time this, I guess. I'd still like to. Or release here. Get a food buff, because here again you're going to have these safe zones, and then the tank is going to have to run up here and stop them from shooting by just walking up to them. So we just kind of AFK back here until he's done doing his thing. And then now you can walk up. Oh, not yet. Like, see there, everyone walked up too soon because he didn't actually make them go away yet. Alright, next mobs. We got the Demolishers and some other things. Let's talk about the Demolishers first. So the Demolishers are going to do 2 things, and only 2 things. They will do a big AoE called Crushing Stomp or something like that. Let's see what it's called. There it is, Crushing Slam. So when that happens, it just does a heavy amount of damage to the entire group. And then you can LOS it if you want. So if you want to avoid the damage, you can just hide behind like a wall. I don't know if the trees and stuff work. I know these poles used to work, so we'll try that. But I don't know if they work anymore. It looks like they don't. It looks like they made them not LOS because I'm still being able to attack him. Yeah. And then now we have some other mobs in here. We have the Buccaneers, the Bilge-Rat Buccaneers. Those throw these bananas all over the floor. If you run into a banana, you will get stunned for 1 second, or like 1.5 seconds or something. So don't touch the bananas. They're all over the floor and it's super obnoxious, so be mindful of that. And then like that, I'm like looking at my UI and stuff and not the ground. Next up is these Tempest mobs, Bilge-Rat Tempest. They will cast 2 things. They will cast this choking waters. Whoever that's targeting, if it goes off, like here it's on the mage, it's dispellable. But if it goes on you, you can't dispel yourself because it silences you and does a really heavy amount of damage over 5 seconds. So it's something that you want to be very careful of. And then other than that, they do like a little water bolt ability. I think it's literally, okay, it's literally called water bolt. I'm glad I remembered that. And that will just target random players and do a moderate amount of damage. So the choking waters is definitely more important, but you want to be interrupting them as much as possible. And then these Pillagers, every like 15 seconds, they'll do, I think it's like it's called Stinky Vomit or something like that. It's a disease debuff that goes on a random player, and it reduces how much healing they can take. That needs to also be interrupted because it's really, really nasty. It makes it very hard to heal people. So we're just going to Spirit Link because this is where we have a lot of overlaps with casters and the Crushing Slams going off and stuff. And we'll just throw... Oh, and then the other thing the Demolishers do is a big AoE Fear cast. You can see the purple circle under them. When that happens, you just make sure you're not in it. If you're in it, you'll get feared. Like here, the tank got hit by the Stinky Vomit and some other abilities. So we don't have a Disease Dispel. Looks like the Paladin got it. Just be careful of that. These mobs, when they're low HP, they will run away. So try to slow them or stun them as they get low HP. I think it's right around like 30% health is when they'll run away. There's a Crushing Slam while the warrior has a debuff, so I heal him first, because he had one of the disease debuffs and was taking extra damage. And we step on bananas, as we do. This pack is also very deadly. So there's a spotter, but the new thing is these snipers. And the worst part is when people stun them like that when you walk in, because they spam cast shoot and ricocheting shot on random people. And if they all target the same person with shoot, that will happen, what you just saw to the mage there. And now I'm getting targeted by like 3 of them back to back, so I press my defensive. And now they're like targeting the mage. But basically they just target random players with shoot. The ricochet will do a lot of damage, but the shoots do like a moderate amount of damage. But the problem is if they all shoot the same person at the same time, you just die. Like there, the mage just popped Cauterize. What you want to try to avoid is actually, you don't want to stun them unless some of them have already cast shoot. Because if you stun them, they all sync up and, oh, I think he wants Earth Shield. They will all sync up and shoot at the exact same time, which makes it a lot harder to deal with. Then you can't heal in between shoots. It's just, they all shoot at the same time and will just one-shot someone if they happen to target the same person. Here we have the Raiders, we have the pull-ins, and then we also have these Azerite charges from the commander. So like there we're getting hooked while having the dot. That hurt really bad because I had like pretty much nothing to use. I probably should have health botted just to be safe, because again on like a plus 12 I'm dead right there. So here's the charge. This time we'll be smart about it. We'll wait a second, heal myself, and then I don't need a health pot because I'm nice and healthy, and the pull isn't happening for another 5 seconds. So this is the charge that will be dangerous, because we're going to get pulled in, and then someone's going to get targeted by the charge and need to run out.
Do you see?
They all can't be in melee because of that, so it's like, there's just a lot of stuff where like you can accidentally, you know, run the charge into other people and stuff, because everyone's having to move around. It's just stuff like that that you want to be mindful of ahead of time. Here again we have another commander and also another, oh, we don't have a raider in this pack, actually, I lied. It's just Wave Shaper and commander, so you're just, the invaders I think are a new mob. Those just apply a poison debuff to whoever they're attacking every, I don't know how often it is, it's like 10 seconds or something. So if you have a way to poison dispel, you definitely want to do that, because when they stack up to like more than 3 stacks, like right there, it will start hurting the tank a lot. Like if I just sit here and don't heal him, he'll take a lot of damage. The Paladin cleanses him though, so. Okay, the mage is taking damage. He does have alter time though, so we can kind of leave him alone, because it'll heal him at the end of it. And he'll get a little bit of water as soon as this dies. And then all these mobs are pretty much the same. Dealing with the commanders, of course I get targeted by the charge, so it pulls me out of my drink. Cleanse that poison.
Do you see it? A stone to call forth the dawn.
I guess like a bonus tip, since we're not talking about anything new in this pack. With the Azerite charges from the commander, you can like feign death or shadow meld them when they're targeting you, and it will just cancel the cast completely and just not do it on anyone. So that can be really, really helpful, especially if you're in like a tricky spot where you're taking a lot of extra damage, or you don't have a defensive or something. Usually people won't pull this pack all the way up here. It has a raider and a bunch of snipers in it, which is really dangerous because you can get shot by the snipers and pulled at the same time. So what we want to do during this boss fight is just be really mindful of being up there. Okay, so this boss does a couple different things. First thing is going to be Break Water. We'll just talk about the mechanics as they happen. So Break Water is going to pick a few random players and drop these swirlies under their feet. You move out of the way, and then it'll pop, leave a thing on the floor, and do a heavy amount of damage to everyone in the group. It's not based on distance or anything like that. It literally just does a heavy amount of damage. So that's what you'll want to usually be using healing cooldowns for, and defensives. Next thing is Tidal Surge. He'll pick a spot on the room, and then the waves will move towards you, and you have to use this statue to block them. So you have to stand in the middle here, and then right as it ends, he's going to do a Break Water. Make sure everyone's nice and healthy. There, everyone gets hit. You can see how much damage that does. I'm on 11, so like right there again, without a defensive, you are dead on a 12. We're healing everybody up.
5, 4,
Just be ready for the next breakwater that's going to happen.
1.
We have the next breakwater. We'll throw down a little defensive and an earthen wall, and then we heal everybody up. Then we have Crashing Tide, which is going to be, this is a tank frontal, so it just targets the tank. Does a big slam, no damage or anything like that. It's completely avoidable, but you have to be careful if it's pointed at you. Now we're dodging, and then it spawned right behind us, so we're gonna have to run far. So we go like this on this side, and then we want to watch out for this pack. So I'm gonna ping it just to let everybody know to not go near it. We have Breakwater. Everyone's gonna take damage. I'll use Healing Tide here. Pick everybody up. We have Breakwater coming out again. Use the Healing Stream Totem, and that should be good. Save the rest of my cooldowns for the next boss, because the next boss is definitely pretty deadly. So having cooldowns at the start and end is really nice. Now we're just dodging the waves. We're going to run on this side, and then we run on this other side. And then there, this is a really, like, I'm gonna die to this, because I just completely screwed up. I should have just stayed dead and released, but that's okay. I'm gonna die again. I'm gonna help bot, because I'm scared. So there, like, the tank frontal happened while we had to dodge the wave. The correct decision there was for me to be not where the tank is. So I should have walked in, because he was out. He was, like, out away from the statue. Everybody else was in towards the statue. So I should have been in towards the statue. We're just walking down to the last boss. You just dodge these little white swirlies on the floor that will one-shot you. This fight's going to have a couple different things. I would say like 2 major mechanics. The first thing is you have these Demolishing Terrors. They're going to do a Slam ability. So you'll see here in a second. They'll do Slam. If you're not full HP, you have to press something or you will die to it. It does a heavy amount of damage to everyone. And then the next thing that the boss does is this Putrid Waters cast. You can see it on my Bigwigs timers. It's going to target 2 players and apply a dispellable debuff to them. And it does a heavy amount of initial damage when it hits them. And then it does ticking damage until it's dispelled. So this in combination with the slams, sometimes they overlap really, really close, and it is extremely, extremely deadly. So what you want to try to do is just immediately dispel one of them, and then heal the player who you didn't dispel. So here I dispel the mage, and now I'm just spam healing the paladin and making sure that they're as full health as they can be in case, you know, the slam goes off. But the slams only happen with the demolishing tentacles. So when that's happening, that's when you want to be really mindful of like healing the player who has the other debuff. The only other thing you can do is, I'll explain it with the next set that happens, but you can actually see who the Putrid Waters is targeting before it hits them. So what is going to happen here is we're going to walk over. There's a new Demolisher Tentacle. So here Putrid Waters is casting. You'll see 2 little bolts of water fly out from the boss in a second. And here's the slam. Putrid Waters will cast eventually. There's the 2 little bolts. You can see them fly towards specific players. So like it's a projectile in the air that will fly to the player. And that lets you like see who it's going on ahead of time. So if you see the projectile, like if you stand far enough away, like back here as a ranged, you'll see the projectile coming towards you, and that gives you time to like press a defensive before it hits you, because it does like heavy initial damage. Like here, I don't have a dispel, so this is really deadly because the slam's happening at the same time. So I just Spirit Link, because if people have the dispel debuff and a slam is happening at the same time, they're almost guaranteed to die to it if you don't press something really big. Here we'll have Putrid Waters again, so maybe we'll see it go towards me. Does not go towards me. It's on the mage, so we just dispel mage, heal paladin. We don't have to worry too much about it, but it still does, like, even on its own, it's doing a lot of it does a large amount of damage. I guess the bonus tip for this boss while we're sitting here is if you have a warlock in your group, specifically a destruction or affliction warlock, they can dispel the debuffs with their imp pet. So then you can just have the healer dispel one person, and then the warlock dispel the other person who didn't get dispelled. And it makes this fight so much easier. So I would highly recommend bringing a Warlock anytime you can into this dungeon, especially if you're having a hard time with the last boss. Now we're just watching these slams. Putrid Waters is casting, so we're gonna watch it. And there it goes out. I'm gonna dispel the warrior. The last thing I'll mention about the Putrid Waters is it is a debuff with like a circle around it. Like right now you can see around the tank, kind of. There's like a circle visual. I'll get a little closer to him. It's hard to see because of this, but it's this white line. And if someone is inside that circle, they take the ticking damage, I believe. And then they also will knock people back when they're dispelled. So when the debuff gets removed, it will knock everyone away and do like a heavy amount of damage to anyone inside the circle. And like when I say knock them away, like they go flying through the air. So as like a melee especially, you want to be kind of pre-spread. And then as ranged, like I don't want to stand near, you know, the fire mage, for instance. I'm going to stay away from them. There, we dispel the mage right away. Don't have any slams to worry about. Also, if it goes on the tank, that's like a blessing. So never, like, I mean, you can dispel this tank second, but if there's 2 people that get it, dispel the tank last for sure. Like every single time. And that's the whole dungeon. We barely timed it, but it worked. Oh, hey, that one targeted me at the end. You can see the projectile go towards me, so I could like pre-use a defensive if I had one. And the debuffs like to last a little bit while the timer finishes, so that's fun. But yeah, that's Siege of Boralus. I felt like I was talking non-stop during that dungeon, so I'm sorry if it was annoying, but hopefully that helps you get an idea of how to heal Siege of Boralus. So I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.